Hey friends, Andrew Carruthers from The Journeyist, and we're back here on the East Applegate Ridge Trail because if you look behind me, why wouldn't we be back here? Such a beautiful morning. Today, for episode 18 of The Journey of Sunday, we are going to be talking about spiritual intelligence. So we've all definitely heard of IQ, which is intelligence, but since then a lot more terms have been coined. One, EQ, emotional intelligence. There's CQ, which is conversational intelligence. So what about SQ, spiritual intelligence? And this is that intelligence that we receive from somewhere beyond us, or maybe even just somewhere deeply inside of us, depending on what your belief systems are. But it's a knowing that is so much deeper than any of our sensory knowing could possibly possess. So how do we typically tap in to this SQ, or spiritual intelligence? Well, of course, I think the first thing that's going to pop up for so many people is prayer, or possibly you call it meditation, but a direct sort of sit down and have a conversation with God, gods, goddess, spirit, universe, whatever you like to refer to it as, but some type of direct communication or conversation with that greater power. And if we look back to indigenous cultures or the earth-based spiritual traditions, we see a lot of divination. So with the Celtic traditions, there was the runes, and there's tribal traditions that would read the ashes after a fire. Or if we look back to Asian communities, there might be tea readings or tea leaf readings. And more recently, we see things like tarot cards. So there's not just one way for us to tap in and communicate with that spiritual intelligence. And the other thing that varies from tradition to tradition is who or what we're actually speaking to. For most of the Abrahamic religions, it's more of a direct connection to God or the messenger of God. And if we look at other traditions, very often there's some type of spiritual connection, like angels or spirit guides. Or for the Shindo of Japan, very often they're speaking to their ancestors or people from family that have passed. And when we're reaching out to God, we're reaching out to goddess, we're reaching out to gods, or just to the ancestors, what are we looking for from spiritual intelligence? Are we looking for just the answer of, hey, do I want honey wheat bread today, or do I want marble rye? Or are we looking for something deeper, which I kind of feel like is probably the answer. Most of the time when we're reaching out to that spiritual intelligence, it's more of a question of what is my purpose or something grand scale. Or for many of the dharmas, it's actually creating an opening of communication to that big mind or spiritual realm or universe with the purpose of not having an expectation of communication. And I'm sure this probably will not surprise any of you, but for me personally, it's kind of all the above because as we talked about last week, I'm definitely fitting into that perception of omnism where I believe there's truth in all things. So for me, I do pray. For me, I do meditate. For me, I do practice some sort of divination or different rituals that just put me into a place that I can receive communication. And sometimes it is a really direct question that I'm trying to answer. It's something kind of deeply philosophical that I can't answer through the use of my body's intelligence. So it might be a direct question. Or when entering into more of a traditional meditation state, my purpose is really just to open a space and be curious for what might come. So now it's your turn. I would love to hear what you do to connect to that spiritual intelligence. Who or what is that spiritual intelligence, and to what purpose do you reach out to that spiritual intelligence? So please add that into the chat. Let's get a great conversation going. I'm Andrew Carruthers from The Journeyist. Thanks for watching episode 18. I'm gonna go get my hike on. Peace.